Show, Urban Devi Sangha, September edition. Today is September 27th, and our guest speaker, we're so excited to have her here, is Ananga Manjari Devi Dasi, and today is also her birthday. So everyone can give her a round of applause. Hari. Okay, 3 Haribo. 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 So we're so grateful and fortunate to have her amongst us today, and she has a very intimate, close, loving relationship with Rukmini Devi, our Urban Devi founder, which said she's going to say a few words on before she starts speaking, so we're super excited to hear about that. But just a brief introduction for Ananga Manjari Devi Dasi. We could speak for a long time, but she's basically for over 50 years, she has been dedicating her life to the practice of Krishna consciousness. And she is a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and I just learned, in the Boston Temple in 1970. Joined the Krishna consciousness movement there. And she is an interfaith reverend doctor, a counselor, an inspirational speaker, and she shares her insights from a broad philosophical perspective that combines both Western thoughts and her experiences in the Eastern tradition with the wisdom of the sages and the Krishna consciousness movement, and studying these teachings for so many years. And she offers us a practical and fresh perspective on how to live the bhakti love in the present day. I just love that, the bhakti love. She's also the mother of Vishwambar Seth, who's an inspirational speaker and very well known and beloved kirtan music performer, and Ganga Devi, an Odissi performer and teacher, and Jamuna, a creative, artistic, holistic practitioner. So she's a mama, she's a saint amongst us, and we have so much to look forward to learn from her pearls of wisdom today. So with open arms and open heart, we welcome you, Ananga Manjari Devi Dasi.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. This is such a blessing for me and a great birthday gift. I always honored Rukmini and everything that she does, everything she touches or, comes near, becomes something very successful, very helpful for humanity, and beautiful. She creates beauty wherever she goes. When I first came into the temple in Boston, she was the pujari at the time. So she immediately took me under her wing, and her wing was warm and welcoming and kind and intelligent and solid in Krishna consciousness. And her wings are still flying and taking everyone under her wing through this Urban Devi adventure that she's on. And you spread your wings far, girl. It's beautiful. So we're all fortunate to be under her well-wishing guidance and care. Thank you. So we are discussing today about Srila Prabhupada's legacy, what he left us, what his purpose was for doing all of the amazing things that he's done. So let me just do something. Okay, some technical thing. So Prabhupada's legacy, and I would say that one of the main gifts that he gave was teaching us that transcendence goes beyond religion. Transcendence goes beyond traditions, national traditions, religious traditions, cultural traditions, ethnic traditions, gender traditions. Transcendence goes beyond these. So just to establish Prabhupada, who he was and his legacy, you may have heard these things before. I'll just go over some brief glories of what he has done. At the age of 70, he traveled to America with nothing but a few books and faith in Krishna's purpose to spread bhakti love, bhakti yoga, and Vedanta knowledge of Krishna to everyone. And within 11 years, he established dynamic Krishna consciousness movement to encourage devotional service. He made bhakti love easily accessible to everyone without discrimination. And he wrote over 70 books translated in over 70 languages. That's just some of those, the things that he did and why he did it. Was simply to give this bhakti and Vedanta to everyone. So he didn't come to give us an Indian culture or varnashram or an Indian way of life or a religion, a Hindu religion. He came to give transcendent knowledge that is divine love of God. He followed in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, who are said to have broken open the storehouse of nectar that was hidden because of the caste system, because of the smarta Brahmanism, because of the material discrimination of who is better and who is worse. Lord Chaitanya Nityananda broke open that storehouse of secret nectar, which is bhakti. Bhakti is love. Bhakti is divine love, aimed at the Lord, and drips down and is beneficial. That nectar drips down and is beneficial for all living entities. So everyone is included without discrimination. This is what Prabhupada has done. So what is a pure devotee? We say he's a pure devotee, or I want to be a pure devotee. So pure devotee means pure intention to help others to know Krishna, to help others to know and love Krishna. That is a pure devotee. On Prabhupada's appearance day, which was just last month, recent, my daughter, Jamuna, she's a yogi as well as a integrative healer. She said, I asked her, I said, what does Prabhupada mean to you? And she said, Srila Prabhupada's power as a saint was that he changed our ancestral karma. So we all come into this world with our own previous karma. We come into this world inheriting certain types of psychophysical qualities, genes, energy, and karma from our ancestors. And our ancestral karma kind of determines how we struggle for existence through this world. We have the different qualities and makeup. Prabhupada changed that. He changed that way of how we live our lives, how we make our choices, how we struggle through this, for existence in this world. He changed the paradigm of our consciousness. He changed he transcendentalized it, we can say. Just like when we offer our food in devotion to Krishna, we take an ordinary broccoli or an ordinary, some ordinary kale or whatever, and we offer it with love and devotion to the Lord. And then all of a sudden it becomes sacred prasad. And we relish it, and we can feel, if we're sensitive enough, we can feel that I am feeling uplifted. My heart, my soul, my spirit is uplifted by this sacred, sacred communion with the Lord. It's a sacred communion with the Lord. The Christians have it as the body of Christ, the Holy Communion, and we have prasad. It's the same offering, it's the same devotion that is meant directed towards God. So Prabhupada, just as we offer food and it becomes prasad, so in the same way, Prabhupada offers us, every one of us, anyone who's connected to his to his gifts that he gave us. Anyone who's willing to accept his gifts, he offers us to the Lord. And we, our consciousness, our spirit becomes sacred, becomes transcendentalized. And we become spirit-driven instead of fear-driven or ego-driven. We become spirit-driven to serve the Lord. So our psychophysical qualities actually transcend the limits of our individual and ancestral karma. This is what he gave us. This is his legacy. We become, we change our paradigm from fear-driven to love-driven, bhakti-driven. So this will affect generations to come. It affects our children and their children, and their, because this transcendent prasad is never ending, and it will continue in some way or another. Everyone will be affected for generations to come. So this is the power of a saint. This is the power of his legacy. We call him Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the universe. Just by his desire, our consciousness changes. So when Prabhupada came on the Boston Pier, when his Jaladuta ship had just arrived on the Boston Pier, he offered a prayer from his heart, from deep within his heart. He offered a prayer, and basically he was saying, "You, Krishna, you brought me here, but how will I teach them? How will they understand and listen? Please make my words effective so that they will hear about you. And once they hear about you, no one can help loving you. So just please make my words effective so they will listen. Only you can change their hearts." So this was his prayer, and he let this out, and standing on the pier, let it out at the ocean to the Western country. So I have a little something I had written of a memory that I had when I was 12 years old. I wrote this as a, from my memory, and I'm calling it As the Crow Flies, because I was living in Boston, and I was only 15 minutes from that pier as the crow flies. And I had remembered this incident that happened in my life when I was 12. That was the same year and the same month that Prabhupada had stepped on that pier and offered this prayer. So after I became a devotee, I realized that there's some spiritual coincidence that came about from this incident in my life and his prayer, the effect of a pure devotee's prayer. So I'm going to read this as something I wrote for. As the crow flies. When this intimate spiritual exchange took place between Srila Prabhupada and Krishna on September 17th, 1965 at the Boston Harbor, I was 12 years old, living only a few miles away from the Boston Harbor, 15 minutes as the crow flies. It was the beginning of the school year, mid-September. I was walking with my childhood friend, discussing our new school experiences. Earlier that summer, I had been inspired to leave the public school system and attend 7th grade in a Catholic school. This was my choice because I wanted to learn more about God. As we walked, my friend casually inquired about my new school. "What are you going to do?" She meant as fun. What are you going to do for fun? But at that moment, something deep stirred inside me. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with my life? Surprised at the depth of this thought, I instinctively turned around and looked up at the sky as though I would find where this profound thought had come from. I noticed the trees swaying in the breeze, as if something profound must have stirred them as well. I knew something special was happening here. As I turned back around, my heart whispered, "Find the absolute truth." Being only 12 years old, I had surprised myself with the words absolute truth. Still, I knew God was calling me to find him. I then turned to my friend, who I knew would not understand what had just happened to me that second. I answered her in a typical preteen way, I don't know, what are you going to do? Internally, I knew that an exciting spiritual adventure was about to begin. So I attribute this depth of thought, this whispering of super soul in my heart to Prabhupada's desire. This happened to me the same year and the same month that Srila Prabhupada stood at the Boston Harbor when he offered this heartfelt prayer. So I think that spiritual prayers are powerful electromagnetic transcendental frequencies that cut through all material static of mundane impediments. Heartfelt prayers pierce through the covering of the universe and enter into the heart of the Lord, who fulfills his devotees' wishes. The Bhakti Lata Desire Bij, it's a seed. The Bhakti Lata Desire seed from Srila Prabhupada's heart was being carried on the breeze, and it's still being carried on that breeze, reaching into our hearts for those who are fortunate to catch his mercy. And it's still going on. His loving desire and prayer is never faded. It doesn't fade like an ordinary poem or desire. It continues and affects everyone throughout the world. So this is the power of Srila Prabhupada. This is the power of the Jagat Guru. This is the power. He has God backing him up. So whatever he desires, the Lord fulfills. And for our prayers as well, when we are praying with the same intention, is to help others, then our prayers also reach the heart of the Lord, and he will fulfill them in a way he sees fit to fulfill. So prayer is a very powerful thing for all of us. So the tradition of Srila Prabhupada, his tradition is the same tradition. It's not an Indian tradition. It's not a religious tradition. It's not a cultural, Indian cultural or Hindu tradition. His tradition is the same tradition as Lord Chaitanya of transcendence. Lord Chaitanya was Radha Krishna together, Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. So Prabhupada's tradition, we're coming from a tradition of transcendence. There's a little story from the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy was a great devotee, but he was from a Sudra caste system, born Sudra family, which was lower. It was considered a lower birth amongst the Brahmins in that time. And around that time, over a little more than 500 years ago, that caste system was very ingrained in the Indian society, even in the Vaishnav society. And that's one of the reasons why Lord Chaitanya came, to break it open. And that's one of his legacies. So Lord Chaitanya, when he saw this Ramananda Roy, Lord Chaitanya was a sannyasi, which is the highest caste. And Ramananda Roy was from the lowest caste. But when Lord Chaitanya saw him, he immediately embraced him. Now the ritualistic Brahmins that were standing there watching, they were like, what? This sannyasi is touching a Sudra? You're not even supposed to walk in the shadow of a Sudra. They had so many rules about this discriminating the different classes of men. So they were bewildered. Why is he doing this? Lord Chaitanya broke the social norm. Why? To feel love for Krishna. He told Ramananda Roy, when I touch you, even Ramananda Roy said, in the scriptures, in the Vedas, it says you're not supposed to touch me. Why are you touching me? He was quoting scripture to Lord Chaitanya. You should follow this. He actually was quoting it to show the Brahmins that you all follow this. So I'm going to repeat this Shastra, that you're not supposed to touch me, Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya said, I feel love for Krishna, such ecstatic love when I touch you. You're beyond this writing. You're beyond this rule. You're beyond this social norm. So this is a lesson of where Lord Chaitanya was coming from. The Brahmins had no clue of what the reason was behind, the transcendent reason behind Lord Chaitanya's action. So go into this part. We said that Srila Prabhupada did not give us Hinduism. He boldly declared his legacy. He boldly declared his legacy in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in a purport, where he says, fools criticize that I adapted ways and means favorable to spread Krishna consciousness by accepting Sudras and women equally to serve Krishna. These fools must be just satisfied with their own foolishness because they could not do it. Now, Prabhupada's not just talking about ordinary people. He's talking about other Vaishnavas in India who criticized him for mixing, for coming to the Sudras and coming and initiating Sudras and women as Brahmins. They criticized him. His own god brothers, some of them, criticized him. So he's speaking to all of them. You can't do this. You can't spread Krishna consciousness, and I'm trying to do this. My guru instructed me to do this, and I'm trying, and it's happening. So nothing will stop me. Your criticism will not stop me. Your criticism has no, he's saying it's foolishness. It has no impediment for me to go on and do this. So he's accepted us as his sons and daughters. He's accepted us even more than sons and daughters. He's accepted us as his disciple. So of course, affectionately, we accept that, yes, affectionately in an intimate situation, we can say, I'm Prabhupada's daughter, I'm Prabhupada's son, and this is a nice thing. But as a daughter or son, we don't have to give back to him. We don't owe anything to our fathers and mothers. They give unconditionally because it's their duty to give. But as a disciple, I have to give something back. I have to repay him. So he's not just my father. He's my guru. I'm his disciple. I'm meant to do something wonderful that he will be pleased with. That's how I can repay all the gifts that he gave us. So these are little things I want to bring up because it's become a habit in ISKCON, unfortunately, to kind of demean women by saying, just calling them daughters. I'm not saying we shouldn't be called daughters, but by just calling daughters and not seeing them as disciples as well, it does a disservice. By calling them just Matajis. Not that in an intimate relationship, we call each other Mataji. That's out of affection. I am a mother, I'm a mama, I'm a sage mama. And you're all sage mamas. And that's glorious. It's wonderful to be a great mama who helps our children and all the children of the generations of children in our movement. That's a real mama. Helps everyone. So that's a great thing to be a Mataji. It's fine. It's respectful if it's said in respect. But to make it as a institutionalized order that only women should be called, only Vaishnavis should only be called Mataji is actually, again, it gives that idea that any woman in the street is a Mataji. So if I say all the Prabhus on this side, all the Vaishnavas on this side, and all the Matajis on this side, I'm making a distinction of mundane consciousness and a spiritual address, and a mundane address. So in the same line that Lord Chaitanya broke a rule and embraced Ramananda Roy to feel ecstatic love and give ecstatic love, in the same way, Prabhupada broke a Sanskrit rule. Was he not a Sanskrit scholar? He himself called his disciples, both men and women, Prabhu. But why did he do this? We want to understand a internal reason. Lord Chaitanya had his internal reason. Let's not be bystanders like the Brahmins, who were just the bystanders looking and saying, why is he doing this? Oh, I don't know. Oh, well, and then criticizing why he's doing it or making up some other idea why he's doing it. Let's understand it from a transcendent point. And in my thoughts on this, Prabhupada knew Sanskrit rules. No one can deny that. He wrote 70 volumes based on Sanskrit. He had an internal reason that we may not see immediately. He addressed us all in our spiritual relationship to him as his eternal servants to him, accepting him as our guru. The word Prabhupada literally means, at whose feet all other Prabhus, masters, bow. Prabhupada wanted to establish with his godbrothers and every other Indian Vaishnav in India and Brahmin in India that these are not just Sudras and women anymore. They have become spiritual Prabhus. They have become bhakti yogis officially under my guidance. And they are serving, I am their guru. So he was establishing himself as the Prabhupada. That was his legacy. If you take that away from him and we say, we're not Prabhus, we're just Matajis, or the men are just Sudras, either way. This is putting down his legacy, minimizing his legacy. He established himself as the Prabhupada whose all other Prabhus are serving. So we should not minimize or over-rationalize or neglect to call his disciples and grand-disciples and great-grand-disciples Prabhus, because they are. And that in their relationship with Prabhupada, they are servants, they are masters of Bhakti Yoga, they are servants of their Bhakti Yoga teacher and guru, Srila Prabhupada. I'm not saying that that's all we call everyone all the time. Mataji, as I said, could be an affectionate term. Hey, sister, that's an affectionate term. I address my friends as that. So, but we don't want to make this we don't want to take it away from Prabhupada's legacy and say women cannot be called that. That is minimizing his legacy. We can't ignore his position as the Prabhupada of whom we all take shelter. So if it was good enough for Prabhupada, it should be good enough for us, putting Sanskrit rules aside. So Prabhupada, he did many things that others would not approve, other Vaishnavas may not approve. But the intention of what he did was to give us Krishna consciousness. And that's the important thing. The beginning of Bhagavad Gita starts with Arjuna being a very conscious Kshatriya. He was a very dutiful, religious person. And he was following all the religious principles, and he gave so many religious arguments why he should not fight on the battle of Kurukshetra. By the end of the Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna tell him? Sarva dharma paritraja, give up all varieties of this religion that is materially motivated. Give up these ideas of what is necessarily religious that may be politically correct or socially correct, and just surrender to me. So he put him from a religious, pious platform up onto a transcendent platform. And then we have Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the next study. And the very beginning of Srimad-Bhagavatam starts with Dharma Projita Kaitava. This knowledge of Srimad-Bhagavatam does not deal with religion that is materially motivated. It deals with the summum bonum, the highest good for all humanity, the highest good, the transcendent good. So we need to distinguish Divya Gyan from the socio-political statements of the Vedas. There's a difference between the spiritual principles that he gave, that's written in the Shastras that Prabhupada had written and given us purports in, and the cultural details that he spoke of. At one point he said, Bengali women are the most beautiful. So is that an absolute truth? Or is that a social statement that he found? Are Bengali women eternally, always, transcendentally, beyond any doubt, always the most beautiful woman? Things change. Cultural, social details change. He changed. Sometimes he would say this, sometimes he would say, oh, you American women are the most beautiful. You Western women are the most beautiful. So he would change. These things change, these cultural, social considerations and ideals and political ideals, they all change. Absolute truths don't change. So we have to discriminate what is being taught as an absolute truth and what is being mentioned as a social, cultural ideal or idea. So Prabhupada over and over again, he stresses, there is no higher and lower. There is no better than me in bhakti yoga, in bhakti love. There is no, I'm better than this one. I'm superior. There is no enemy between man and woman or between sannyasi and grihasta, householder life. The renunciates and the householder life. There should not be any enmity or competition between us. The enemy is my own enjoying mentality, that I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, I am the owner of everything. Prabhupada had said once that if you teach the children only these three things, that will be sufficient. And that is that Krishna is the supreme controller, the owner of everything, and he's our best friend. He's our best friend. So he means well for us. He's our always well-wisher. And in that sense, we can always have faith in him. What Prabhupada gave, this knowledge that he gave us, is not just so that we can gain knowledge and be highly intellectual and maybe have something over other people who don't have some spiritual understanding of life. He gave us this knowledge so we could get through the difficulties of life, like this COVID chaos that we're in right now. It's a difficult time for everyone. Some are very secluded and have no family or friends to really engage with or embrace or be with. And there's this whole political crazy climate that is over all of our heads right now. No one knows what the near future is going to hold. Of course, we never knew. We never knew. That's a little spiritual catch in a sense, that we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. So there's always some fear. But now we actually really feel it, that we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen anyway. I won't get into the political aspect of what's going on. Neither the climate that is hovering over everyone's heads with the pandemic. But yes, we don't know what will happen to us tomorrow, next week, what the economy is going to be next week, next year. So it's fearsome time. It's a fearsome time. But what did we learn? What did we learn from this knowledge and the wisdom of the Gita and this bhakti life that we want to live? One thing we do know. There's one thing we do know, as Oprah says, what I do know for sure. So there's one thing we know for sure, that whatever Krishna's doing in the world, whatever the climate is, politically, medically, health-wise and financial-wise, whatever. It's to establish more religious principles, more spiritual principles. It's to establish more transcendent understanding of life for those who want that. And it's to correct the inimical, either correct them or put them where they belong, defeat them. It depends on how inimical they are. So this is the purpose of the Lord. This is one thing we know for sure. And so we know for sure that instead of fearing the next day or the next climate that's going to come and change again, the next socio-political climate that will change again, instead of fearing what's happening, we should be fearing to forget this knowledge and keep this as our substance. Keep this as our grounding energy within us. Just like in yoga, when we ground ourselves to the root chakra, we ground ourselves in the earth, we feel it. And we get energy from that. We get sustenance from that. So we want to go into our core heart and ground ourselves glue ourselves to this Gita wisdom, glue ourselves to this Bhagavatam wisdom of the sages. And then we'll be strong and we can help others, help ourselves and help others, no matter what happens. We don't know what will happen. And bad things can happen to good people. Bad things do happen to good people. We're not promised a rose garden exactly. But within the difficulty, a bhakta remains steady in his devotion to the Lord, steady in his love. He keeps giving the love. So let's not miss the mark, miss the point of all scripture, of all knowledge, of all religions ultimately, and what Prabhupada gave us. Let's not miss that mark. The actual word sin, I believe it was in Greek or Latin, that it means missing the mark. It was actually meant for archers who, when they shot their bow and arrow, they had the we have the bullseye, right? And in the middle of the bullseye is the perfect aim, the perfect goal, right? That's Krishna. That's love, pure bhakti, love for God. Now around that, there are many circles. I consider those circles as all the other living entities of the world. Animals, humans, doesn't matter who you are. All the other living entities are on the different circles. Now, when you aim your heart, your intention for living, your purpose for life, when you aim it right at that center, bhakti love, I want love for God. I want love for Krishna, the absolute truth, the summum bonum, who takes care of everyone else on the bullseye. And if you aim and hit it, that's great. But even if you aim and we're not so expert, so we may miss and hit somewhere on the target, we are helping other living entities. That is our purpose of life, to uplift and help them with knowledge, with solace during these times, with whatever we can help with. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had said, giving food, giving shelter, giving clothes, giving, as well as giving some knowledge. That all is included in the bhakti love culture, tradition. So anyway, if we hit somewhere on the target, we're doing good. If we miss the target completely, that's a sin. That's the sin. Don't miss the target completely and aim for our own selfish power and control and energy and benefits. So any questions or comments, or we like feedback, we like discussion, intelligent discussion that we can learn more. All of us can learn more by giving and taking. Krishna says in the Gita that those who discuss about me, they derive great transcendental satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another while conversing about me. So is it time to open it up for questions or answers, or should I go on a little more? What do you say?
We can. Thank you so much. That I'm I'm speechless and so inspired. I'm like hanging on to every word. And there's some really good questions. And yeah, I think it would be good that we get into some of these because they're so good and they can open up for more discussion. So these next two questions, I'm just going to merge together because they're very similar. And the first one is, can you tell a story about when you were caring for Srila Prabhupada's sister? Did she give you any advice or instruction? And that will be, it's very similar to, do you have any stories of personal association and instructions with Srila Prabhupada? Could you share one and what it meant to you?
Okay.
And then we have some more when you're ready.
Maybe I should leave the stories for the end. You can give me the timing when we should stop the other questions, because right now we're on the philosophical kind of roll. And the stories are always nectar and sweet, and they're also instructive, but give me time, like 5 minutes at the end, and I'll tell the story.
Okay, so we have Hare Krishna. Thank you for your wonderful explanations. Would you kindly explain how to understand it when Srila Prabhupada wrote in Bhagavad Gita and at other places that women are less intelligent? How would you explain this? And thank you.
Thank you. I knew that would come. I kind of had that feeling that way. I was almost going to address that in part of, but yes, let's address it. Thank you. So yes, these statements are there. I was with Narayani, my dear god sister Narayani, who is a very highly scholarly, intelligent woman devotee, Vaishnavi. She knows Prabhupada's books inside and out. She has like a photogenic memory, memorizing verses, Sanskrit, English, the purports, like amazing. Anyway, we were giving a class together in Sweden one time, and this question came up. So I asked her, well, what do you say, Narayani? And she said that, I like to put this on her, but she said that women are generally soft-hearted. Emotionally, they are soft-hearted and nurturing. So oftentimes they will follow a man who is less intelligent. Even though they know it is not healthy for them, they still follow that man out of their soft-heartedness, hoping and wishing that he may change, or, you know, he has potential. How many intelligent, scholarly, you know, women who have been judges and lawyers and doctors and whatever, educationalists and scientists, and, you know, still they are soft-hearted, and they may fall for someone who is not so kind. And then they know that this is not good for me, but they stay in the relationship. So that is why women are less intelligent, when they follow a man who is less intelligent. That's one reason. I was in Prabhupada's room in Los Angeles when a reporter asked Prabhupada, why do you say this, that women are less intelligent? And Prabhupada said, it is meant in the ordinary dealings of man-woman life in the material world, from a material concept of life. Women are soft-hearted, and that makes them weaker emotionally. That makes them more vulnerable emotionally. And exploitative men can take advantage of that. So in that sense, that's the same thing. That's why they're less intelligent. He said, but anyone who takes to spiritual life, anyone who takes to transcendent knowledge and understanding of love for God, anyone who leans towards that way, whether you're a Vaishnava or a Christian or a Muslim or whatever you are, if you lean towards love of God, you're not less intelligent anymore. You become most intelligent, because the intelligence and the soul, the intelligence and the jiva are very close to each other. And the Lord gives the intelligence to someone who's surrendering to them. As soon as you lean towards the Lord, lean towards God, the Lord starts giving the intelligence. That's transcendent intelligence. Then you wake up. It's like waking up. So I hope that helps. These statements in this Shastra, there are many statements that kind of demean woman, demean householder life, grihasta life, married life, demean, you know, that children are just the byproducts of sex. And these things are written there. These are social understanding that if you only consider these things, then it's not a healthy life. You must add spiritual knowledge to these things. And as soon as you add Krishna, then is Krishna not in the hearts of every child, every animal, every man, every woman, every Sudra? Then it only goes to say that respect is the glue that keeps us connected. Respecting all living entities is the glue that will keep us connected to Bhakti Yoga in the proper way. And disrespect to any living entity will unglue you to God's love. That is Bhakti. That's the yoga, or the linking. Yoga is a link. Religio. Religio in Latin means linking, connecting. Connecting to what? Respecting all, that they are the Lord. That's that's the beginning. That's just the first part. That's just the respecting all living entities is the first part. So in Vaishnav culture, it's supposed to be transcendent culture, there should never be discrimination between a woman and a man. Besides, we're all coming from Sudra background. Even in the Indian, you know, we say, you know, they're all Sudras in the West, but in Kali Yuga, everyone is Sudra. Everyone is lower, born with a little bit lower mentality, because that's the climate for Kali Yuga. That's the climate that we were born into. But Prabhupada transcendentalized it. And anyone, we don't have a monopoly on bhakti. Hare Krishna movement does not have a monopoly on bhakti. The Bhakti Yoga movement does not have a monopoly on bhakti. Bhakti is love in any language you speak it. It's love in the heart that is directed towards God, and any living entity, it's their inherent condition, it's their inherent right, it's their inherent desire, ultimately. And it's up to us, anyone who knows a little more about love of God, to fan that spark of love in others' hearts and increase it, not squash it with prejudice and discrimination according to the bodily concept. There's a statement also that Prabhupada wrote in one of his purports that anyone who considers a Vaishnava or a Vaishnavi from their bodily material aspect, point of view, that they will quickly go to hell. So he also said that. So we need to understand the philosophy in its whole. If you look at the qualities of what a Vaishnava is supposed to be, there's basically 26 qualities that are written. And these qualities are kindness to everyone, friendly to everyone, merciful to everyone, always truthful. These are the qualities we need to express to each and every other person. Otherwise, we're missing the mark and we'll go off to our own selfish desires. So our only enemy is ourselves, our self bodily concept of life. And I hope that helps some. That could be a whole lecture on itself, but.
Thank you. Yes, so along those lines, there is another question. It says, Hare Krishna, thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. Can you speak about free will and how it relates to our bhakti?
Thank you. Yes, free will. Well, Arjun was on the battle of Kurukshetra and he became very bewildered. Chaos ensued. So many contradictions in his life was before him. Just like now we're facing this COVID and this political upheaval that's coming along with it. It's like a double whammy. So we have free will how we react or how we respond to this, to this chaos. We have free will constantly, just like Arjun. Even after he heard the knowledge from Krishna, he He heard all this knowledge. And at the end, Krishna didn't say, so you better do this. No, he said, now you've heard everything there is. I've given you all this knowledge, all this wisdom. Now you do what you want. And that's how shouldn't we be teaching our children like that? We can't force them. We can't force our children. You do this and sit here for 2 hours. And no, this is good for you. Even if it's good for them, it's not good for them if it's forced. Nothing is good. It becomes sour if it's forced. We're trying to force them into loving God, loving me. How is that love? That's the very basic, what makes love is that it can never be forced. It's free. Love is always free. As soon as you force it, it's not love anymore. It becomes duty. It becomes, obsession. It becomes so many other things, but it doesn't become love anymore. Just like you can't take sweetness out of sugar. It's its constitutional quality. So love, the constitutional quality of love is freedom. So Krishna loves us so much, he gives us freedom. He gives us the knowledge. He gives us our friends. He gives us this, Prabhupada gave us the society to engage in bhakti yoga so that we could love each other and love the world. And Krishna is loving us so much, he tells Arjuna, but you do what you wish because I love you. So free will is an expression, the highest expression of love that one can offer, or selfishness. It may be the highest expression of selfishness when I hold it for myself, that I still want to control everyone and, enjoy everything and think I own other people and other things and I own my children. That's the highest expression of selfishness. So bhakti is free. Freedom. When I'm free to love, it's real love, it's pure love. Krishna's so happy. You've come to me on your own free will. I love you for that. When our children come to us and they want to just be our friends as they get older, they come to us of their own free will. It gives us the greatest joy inside, doesn't it? But if we force them all their life and then they go further and further away. Anyway, so thank you. Is that okay?
Oh goodness, that was good. These next two questions, I'm going to ask them both of you because I don't want to skip one, and they are very related. It has to do with Varnashram Dharma. This first one is Hare Krishna. Thank you for the beautiful talk. You said that Varnashram is not Srila Prabhupada's legacy, but we have the hobby in which Srila Prabhupada says that he gave us 50% and the other 50% were Varnashram Dharma, and that we would have to develop. So what is the relevance of Varnashram? Related to that is this. For some young Mataji unmarried, if they want to be single and just engage in the bhakti process their whole life, will they please Srila Prabhupada? Because Srila Prabhupada once said that every woman should get married. Would you like to share your opinion or guidance on this matter?
Yes, these are beautiful, beautiful questions that are very important, and often they are not discussed enough, I feel. So let's take Varnashram first, and thank you for that. I was also addressing some of that. I pulled away some of my notes because I knew timing is, but anyway, Varnashram, yes. So we hear that Prabhupada said that he wanted us to develop Varnashram. Now, whether this 50% was actually his quote or not, I don't know. But we hear that he said at least, I wanted to develop more Varnashram. So what does Varnashram mean? Varnashram means, the very essence of Varnashram means that it takes the Varna, the natural inclination of the soul, the natural gift that God gives every individual soul, that you take that inclination and you use it in an ashram. The varna is the duty, is the inclination, is the action, and it could be any action. I'm an artist, I'm a scientist, I'm intellectual, or I'm just a worker, or I'm a gardener, I'm just, I just want to be a mother and nurture my children. And, there are so many different occupational duties or occupational inclinations of the soul that we are, again, born into, and the Lord gives special gifts to for each one of us. We take that varna, that gift, and we use it in an ashram, which means ashram is more like a place where you dedicate all of your services to a higher cause, to a higher purpose, to the Lord. So that's the actual essential meaning of an ashram. Now, what Prabhupada wanted, and he never in all his time, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but I've never heard anywhere where he said we should hold back devotional service from anyone and not, and hold back for a while for whatever reason, or hold back their in natural inclination to serve God, hold back that spark for a while. That was never his, MO, never his method of operation. His method of operation was constantly expanding further, reach more souls, not go backwards, go forward. So in this understanding, there are unfortunately some leaders of the ISKCON Institute who are propagating that we need to do Varnashram, we need to develop Varna. Therefore, all the Vaishnavis should only have babies and work in the kitchen. Otherwise, we will call them, they're just trying to be masters, and they're just trying to be Prabhus, and they're criticizing many sincere disciples of Prabhupada and grand disciples who have inclinations in other ways, like the second question. They may have inclinations towards just wanting to do different, understanding the philosophy or preaching the philosophy or, teaching or whatever other inclinations besides just getting married, having babies and working in the kitchen. And as my dear God sister Narayani said, they're trying to relegate the Vaishnavis, the transcendent devotees of the Lord in women's bodies, to the kitchen and to the bedroom. Why? This is a mundane consideration so that the men can keep enjoying them. So Prabhupada never wanted us to go backwards. Once Varnashram is meant for those who are not surrendered to the Lord yet, who don't maybe have an inclination towards spiritual things or religious life or bhakti yoga. They still want to engage, they're just in the world and they're using their propensities. But we as Vaishnavas or as religious people, as spiritual people with some knowledge, we need to be expert at encouraging. We need to become powerful and strong and intelligent and expert to encourage these people who have no inclination to please serve a higher purpose. Do what you do, but do it to help the humanity, help other people, and ultimately to go in the Lord's direction. So I actually have said this before, and I personally challenge anyone who thinks that Prabhupada's mood was to go backwards and turn Vaishnavas into Sudras again. He worked so hard to change this. This is his legacy. How dare them think that they can change that legacy to suit their own mundane satisfaction. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. So that they can feel better. Oh, I'm a man, I'm better than a woman. I can enjoy a woman, I can exploit a woman. Protect doesn't mean you control someone. If I protect I protect my children, doesn't mean I assert control and I own them. So it makes me, yes, I do sound angry. Prabhupada never stifled the bhakti lata seed in the heart that's growing. So I say, let's grow through the cracks. Concrete men or women also, whatever, it goes back and forth. I'm not, men and women, they're not the enemy. It's that point of trying to control and have material desires. That's our enemy. It's within every single one of us that we must control that. But if we're pouring concrete on our bhakti lata by these so-called institutional rules, then I say individually, let the Vaishnav, Bhakti Lata, Vaishnava and Vaishnavi seeds grow up between the cracks, just like you see sometimes plants grow between the cracks. And they grow luscious and they give their fruits and flowers, because nothing can stop. Nothing should stop, but if they try to stop, nothing can really stop. Love for Krishna growing through the heart. So that's Varnashram. Go out there and be intelligent enough and effective enough as a speaker or as a teacher or as a guru or whatever you want to present yourself as, and help others, inspire others to try to do whatever they do to serve Lord, to serve the Lord, and to serve others in the world. And that's Varnashram. That's real Varnashram. So that's what I have to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. And as far as single woman, that I think it kind of answers the question. I mean, I think I've kind of answered it. Go forward. Whatever personal gift that God has given you, granted you with, use that gift to offer it back to him in some way. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be married. When Prabhupada, when he did say every woman should, at one point he said every woman should be married. But overall, his philosophy is man, woman, Sudra, doesn't matter who you are, what you are, just love Krishna. And whatever is favorable for your Krishna consciousness, you accept that. That is the main rule. That whatever's favorable for our Krishna consciousness, for my personal Krishna, I accept that. And whatever's unfavorable, then I reject it. So if having a household life does not suit you, no matter who you are, that's okay. As long as you're feeling protected and you're feeling safe and you're feeling strong in your bhakti wisdom, go with it. Go with it and be successful. Okay, this is one story. This will also take care of one little story that you asked about at the end, okay? And this goes, okay, thank you. This is very good. Thank you. You reminded me of this. I almost forgot. But this question reminded me, so whoever asked it, thank you very much. When I was a new devotee in the Boston Temple, and I had many of my lovely God sisters and God brothers around me, encouraging me all the time. It was a beautiful time. Everyone was so intimately encouraging of each other. We didn't know enough of the Hindu culture yet to become too discriminating between men and women, So we were truly brothers and sisters. And so I was a young 16-year-old girl in the ashram. And the others said, well, Prabhupada said that all the women should be married, so that because we were very enthusiastic, and I used to jump around going, Krishna's love, Krishna's love. And they would always say, you shouldn't do that. It agitates the brahmacharis. I was like beyond, it's like Krishna's love. I don't care about them. But anyway, so they wanted to, subdue me a little. So they say all the women need to be married. Prabhupada said all the girls. So, I was 16. I was 17 by the time I just turned 17 while I was in the ashram. So they got me married to Hridayananda, which was okay because we were good friends. Hridayananda Goswami now. We were good friends. And of course, in those days, marriage life, we lived in the temple, so we lived separately, Brahmacharini and Brahmachari ashram. And even when we traveled and preached together, we were always living in separate quarters. And so we were more like brother and sister friends. Anyway, within a year, we talked about doing more service for Prabhupada. And he thought, let me take sannyas, because at that time, 1972, by that time, we were married about a year and a few months. And so it was 1972 and many devotees were taking sannyas. It became like a big kind of a thing to do in ISKCON, take sannyas and leave your wife and, go preach in the wilderness, So it was kind of exciting times in some ways. Anyway, he got that bug and I also got that bug because at that time I was leading classes, leading kirtans, playing mridanga, leading out the Sankirtan parties, managing certain little things. Not that I was good at it, but I was doing it anyway. So we thought, okay, well, we'll serve Prabhupada like this. He'll take sannyas and I'll also travel and preach and everything will be fine. We'll go on doing the services that we've been doing. So anyway, 1972, he took sannyas. There's a little story, I'll tell it another time, when we went to Prabhupada and what he said. But fast forward a bit. So he was a sannyasi, 1972. And just within 2 or 3 months, the movement's climate started changing. And because of all these sannyasis, they all started saying, women can't lead kirtan, women can't play mridanga, women can't, voices should not be heard in the temple, women should chant their japa in another room, in the prasadam room or wherever, somewhere, go find your own place, go outside, whatever. And women should not give classes anymore. So that devastated me. I was like, what? I was 17 years old, 18, maybe 17, 18. Anyway, I don't remember the numbers, but not more than 18. So I wrote a letter to Prabhupada because this was my heart's desire. This was my service to him. This was my offering. This was my payback to what he gave us. This is all I knew. So I wrote to him and I said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm 17, 18-year-old young girl. I'm single because my husband had just taken sannyas. And I want to know if I can study your books in depth and follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. I had high ideals. That was a little overzealous, but I said, and be able to preach in your movement and give classes and preach in your movement. I specifically said my age, that I'm single, young girl, and I want to study and preach in your movement, give classes. I wrote that letter and sent it off. Within a month or so, I got a letter back from Prabhupada, and I have it to this day. And first he stressed concentrating yourself on the holy name, because that's where all of our power comes from. The holy name is where our connection with the Lord in the heart comes from. So concentrate on the holy name. Then he said in a last paragraph, yes, just yes, study my books and preach. And if you do this, he said, if you do this, concentrating on the holy name, study his books, then he said, I'm trying to remember exactly. He said, then you will become a great preacher in our movement. You will become a great preacher. You will have great success, and you will be a great example for our society. So he was telling, now I'm not saying for me, because I didn't do it. For many years, I didn't do it. Anyway, and I'm still not really doing it. And now you're giving me a little opportunity, so I'm grateful, but to share, it's sharing. But this is for everyone. He was telling any 17-year-old or any teenager, young girl, whatever, any one of you, any one of us, he was telling, be not just, yes, read and preach. Example. So he said it 3 times the word great. He didn't say, well, it's not really the position of a woman. You should just get married and have kids and stay in the bedroom and the bathroom. I mean, yeah, bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. And that's relegate you to that. And don't worry, that's your devotional service, which it is. For those who are inclined, I had 3 children and I raised them in India, washing the diapers and everything. And I actually had a realization that this is my sadhana. This is my sadhana, and it's glorious. This SHIT is my sadhana, and it's okay, because Krishna is accepting it as sadhana. He's not accepting it as a mundane, filthy activity. He's accepting it from the heart that you're loving these children. You're giving them everything you've got. So anyway, that's for the single woman out there. Be great. Whatever you do, be a great devotee, be a great lover of God, be a great gifter, be a great sharer of your knowledge. Be a great, kind, loving, nurturing sage mama. Hope that's okay. You guys inspire me.
So
You're also
grateful.
amazing. You're amazing.
This is exactly, I think, that what Rukmini's vision for the Urban Devi platform is, to discuss these very important topics with each other and get some really good guidance. Beautiful stories. I want to read some of the comments because they are for you, and then ask a question. And I'm so sorry if we run out of time and I couldn't ask your question. So here's someone saying, and glorious Vaishnavas you raised, Prabhu. So, Hare Krishna, dear Ananga, Manjari Prabhu, thank you for so lovingly sharing what Narayani Prabhu shared, that women are soft-hearted and nurturing. Srila Prabhupada was the ultimate revolutionary, such a visionary. I so very much appreciate you saying that the Hare Krishna movement does not have a monopoly on bhakti. It's an easy trap to fall into, thinking that we do, and then it becomes us versus them, and the opportunity for real connection and sharing is lost. If we feel better than, then there can be no true and meaningful exchange, because we feel that we are the ones with something to give, forgetting that everyone is our teacher, and forgetting to be humble with the gift of Krishna consciousness knowledge that Srila Prabhupada gifted us. And a question that is related to that, and this will be our last one, because then we have to honor the time. Hare Krishna Prabhu, do you not see Krishna consciousness as part of Hinduism? And if not, could you please say more about this?
Okay. Hinduism is supposed to include some semblance of Krishna consciousness, but Krishna consciousness doesn't necessarily have to include some semblance of Hinduism. That's all I've got to say about that. There is no ism. All isms, all religions have some semblance of bhakti. I was brought up in a Catholic religion. There was a lot of bhakti there, a lot of love. The Sacred Heart of Jesus. My father belonged to a society from the church called the Holy Name Society. I mean, this is bhakti. This was talking about bhakti, you know? This is love, loving God. The meaning of life is to love God. So many religions and isms and cultures, you know, have some semblance of bhakti. So they may include Krishna consciousness, some semblance of Krishna consciousness, and they do, many do. But Krishna consciousness does not have to include some semblance of just every other religion in that sense. I think there's a lot of interconnectedness as a you know, interfaith Reverend Doctor. I studied many religions and I see bhakti in many places. But the outward dress, the outward, you know, certain rules and things, those things may change according to culture. But Krishna consciousness does not need to include those isms. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. So just a couple more comments. Excellent answers. Thank you so much for inspiring us and sharing the stories. Very deep, thoughtful, and practical. It really helps us a lot. I'll second that. Thank you again. Let's see, one more. Thank you so much. This association is so inspiring. I am happy I joined and found you. There is a question by Rukmini about inspiration. Let me see if I can go back and find that. What is the key to inspiration? That's the question.
Okay, the key to stay inspired. To me, just the knowledge is so profound, it's convincing. It convinces the intelligence and it convinces the heart. That's how that's one thing that I learned in Krishna consciousness. And of course, as Prabhupada said, the holy name keeps us connected, and that's inspiring. As soon as we start chanting Hare Krishna, we can't help but be happy. Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. So that's part of the equation. You don't chant and be miserable and struggle. you chant and you give it to Krishna, so you're relieved and carefree, and to a certain extent of mundane things, that you're giving your love to Krishna. So chant and be happy, stay inspired, learn the philosophy. The philosophy is inspiring. The knowledge, having, just like in the mode of goodness, they say in the mode of goodness, you're all familiar with that sattva gun as yogis, the mode of goodness. That's like following all the yamas and niyamas, you know, and you're living on that level, helping others. There is the reward for the mode of goodness is to feel self-satisfied that, oh, I know something. I have something more than, you know, than the ordinary. Not that you're better than other people, but that I know something that, and if you're really pious, you'll share it. And that's the mode of goodness. It gives you a sense of self-satisfaction, just knowing. You don't have to get everyone else telling you, oh, you're good, you're great, oh, you did this good. You know yourself. I know I'm in the right path. I'm in a healthier path. I eat healthier. I live healthier. It's a higher awareness. I have an awareness. And you're happy and satisfied just from that. It's an inner satisfaction. That's the mode of goodness. Now, of course, the danger of the mode of goodness is that you start thinking I'm better than them. And as soon as you start thinking that, you're going down into the mode of passion. You cannot stay in the mode of goodness if you're really thinking, you know, that I'm better than someone. That immediately brings you into the competition mode of passion mode. Yeah, so it's all connected, this knowledge, the yamas, niyamas, it's all meant for us to have that higher awareness, and then be kind to everyone. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you.
That's an inspiration. To have that knowledge is an inspiration. Just that I know I'm aware, and I'm trying to be aware in my daily life. Oh, I messed up. I was maybe not so kind to someone. Maybe I said some words out of envy. And so I catch myself. That's being aware. Oh, now I'm a little proud that I was aware. Thank you, Krishna, for helping me be aware. We constantly have gratitude. That's an inspiration. Gratitude to the Lord is, constant gratitude to the Lord is an inspiration. Keeps us inspired. So, I mean, I guess those things, that's what works for me, I guess, or I try.
Thank you. That's actually also sounds very empowering in the humility of it as well. That's just a thought I had. So there are votes coming in that people want you to tell the story about Srila Prabhupada and sannyas. And we actually do have a few minutes for that.
Okay, should I tell that story or Pishimafra? How much time do I have? I'll try to.
We have like 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 7, because we only are going to do announcements after that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell the story about Prabhupada. They're both a little long. Anyway, I'll try to go fast. Okay. Okay, so we decided to do the sannyas thing. And so we went to Prabhupada. First he wrote to him and that we're going to meet you in LA, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada knew we were meeting for this reason. So we walked into his room, and basically he was sitting very gravely at the chair, and we were sitting down on the floor, and his asana behind his desk. And he said, so what do you want? And he looked very gravely at us. And Hridayananda, being philosophical, kind of said, oh, Prabhupada, it's explained in the Vedas. He was quoting the Vedas, that one first becomes a brahmachari, and then he becomes a grihasta, and then he becomes vanaprastha and takes sannyas. So I've been a grihasta for a year, and I'm asking if I can now take sannyas, according to the Vedas, right? You're supposed to learn all your lessons like whoop, in 1 year, condensed. So anyway, so Prabhupada just looked, and he didn't say anything. So Hridayananda turned to me. We were like friends, as I said. So he turned to me and goes, do you think Prabhupada's agreeing or not? I said, I don't know. He didn't say anything. I said, ask him again. So he said, so Prabhupada, is it all right then? Because he was just hesitating and leaning back quietly, very grave. So it was a while, you know, the pregnant moments. So I said, Prabhupada, is it all right then? And Prabhupada said, does your wife agree? And I went, yes, Prabhupada, I agree. And Hridayananda said, yes, Prabhupada, she agrees. And he didn't say anything. And then he waited again. And then he said, does your wife agree? Again. He asked 3 times. And we both went, yes, we agree. You know, it's like, we want to do this for you. And then Prabhupada just looked at us and said, sometimes it is difficult. And he looked very serious in the way he said difficult. He just right into our eyes. And I remember thinking, I mean, I was still on this la-di-da over, zealous, whatever ideal. And I was thinking, yes, it will be difficult. But because we're doing this for Prabhupada, he'll give us some mercy. He'll carry us through. That's exactly what I was thinking. It was like, I'm just giving this, it's okay, I'll take the difficulty and we'll just, it was an easy surrender in a way for some reason. And also we were pushed by Super Soul. Now that I look back, I know Super Soul was pushing us in that direction. So anyway, then he said again, does your wife agree? Yes. And so then he said, it is difficult. And then we were all standing and it was kind of like other things came in the room, other people and different things happened. And we were ready to go. So we were just going to pay our obeisances and leave. And we still didn't really have an answer. So then we were standing there and Prabhupada just came very close to me, like very close, his face. And he said, I remember he had so much compassion and love. It was like talking to your grandfather who cares about you. He looked at me and he said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I was like, oh, what do I want to do? And I remember, of course, okay, now this is going to take a long time to explain, but I answered within a few seconds, but I did hesitate a little bit. And I just like was thinking, this is Jagat Guru standing in front of me. He's the spiritual master of the universe. Whatever he says, Krishna's going to back him up. I can have whatever I want at this moment. Whatever I say, he's going to give me. I mean, he was offering, what do you want to do? I'll give it to you. I'll provide that for you. And I'm like, what do I want? What do I want? And I remember it's like the flash of, like in the movies, the flashes come that like every desire you've had in your life comes in front of your eyes. Your whole life flashes before you. But I remember thinking, this is not just this life. Flashes of desires from other lives that I couldn't really see them. I couldn't focus, but I knew that all my lifetimes of desires were flashing before me. And I was going, oh, Prabhupada, like I actually said like, oh, Prabhupada. And I was stepping back to kind of give myself time. Prabhupada, I just want to be Krishna conscious. And the words came out. And when the words came out, I actually practically saw, not with exactly my eyes, but my mind's eye, I practically saw that he had gone through all of those desires and pulled out this Krishna consciousness. And I almost saw the words like floating in front. I mean, it was surreal. I don't generally hallucinate. Ask my friends. It's not kind of my thing. I don't generally hallucinate, but this was a very profound experience. And then he leaned back and he looked at me much like an artist who has made a painting and is kind of like, is it done? Is it finished? Okay, I approve. This is the final touches, kind of. He looked at me like that. And that's when I knew he did this. He made this happen. He made these words come from my heart, my mouth. And the way he looked at me like that, just like when you dress the deity and then you want to make sure, oh, is everything fine? I can open the curtains now. Yes. Okay. And he was approving. And then after I said, I just want to be Krishna conscious, he leaned back and looked at me like that for a moment. And then he went, you're already Krishna conscious. And he went like this. Now, again, immediately I thought he's doing this to all of us. He's pulling that desire out and he's whooshing us with, you're all Krishna conscious now because you're trying to help me in this mission. And so, yeah, that gave me strength all the way through. That was my inspiration. Yeah. And so he's doing that for all of us. You're Krishna, you're Krishna, you're Krishna. He's doing that. And that was just, I got like to see it or feel it in that moment. It was very strengthening for me. Prabhupada's sister. One thing in our ISKCON movement, because the manpower and the patriarchal, hierarchy was so strong and the sense of renunciation was so strong in our movement, I was you know, we all thought, many of us, not all, but many women felt that they had to act like a man in order to be Krishna conscious. Like I have to have these masculine, strong qualities of renunciation and nothing bothers me. And I'm, you know, kind of like, you know, lose your softness. And in serving Pishima, I learned a lot. I learned that how a woman could be a soft-hearted and intelligent and devotional Vaishnava. And that's who she was. At the time I was wearing white, at that time, all those whose husbands had taken sannyas, they were told that Prabhupada wanted them to wear white. Actually, it wasn't that Prabhupada wanted. He saw some devotees doing it and he said, oh, that's nice. Okay, you can do that. Taking on that culture of the Bengali widows. But it's not that he needed it or wanted it, but many did. Anyway, so I was doing that a little bit under pressure. I didn't want to, but so when I was with Pishima, we would chant together a lot because I was trying to learn Bengali and she was only spoke Bengali basically. And I wanted to understand her. But I would chant to her a lot. We would chant. She would play kartals, I'd play mridanga, and we'd do little bhajans together. And a few times her relatives would come in and she would chastise them saying, just see, you're born in this culture and you're not doing these things. And look at these, you know, Western people, what Prabhupada had done, he has them chanting such nice Bengali bhajans and, you know, understanding the meanings and like this. So she would play the kartals, I would play mridanga, and we'd laugh and chant. And at the end, I would always go, Jaya Pishima Thakurani, Jaya Pishima Thakurani. And I'd say, Pishima Thakurani ki jai. And then she would go, Ananga Manjari ki jai. And we would just laugh. It was like, she was just so wonderful and loving and intelligent. She loved Prabhupada. She knew what he did. She would preach to her family. She would share the knowledge with her family. Oftentimes she would come up to me, I remember several times she came up to me and she would hold my white cloth and go like this and then go like, why are you doing this? Why are you wearing this white? And I said, oh, Pishima Amar Swami Sannyas. My husband has taken sannyas. That's how you say it in Bengali. And she would go like this and walk away. And I thought, oh my God. It's like she disapproves, but what am I supposed to do about it? You know, you know, I was still trying to be staunch and strong and renounced and, you know, whatever. But she didn't like it. Later on, I realized that she changed my heart. She melted my heart. I remember sitting by a stream later on. I'll tell a little more about her, but fast forward to after she had left and I was reflecting on what she gave me was so much. She taught me that being a soft-hearted woman is a glorious thing in Krishna's service. And it helped me so much. Melted my heart. So anyway, her health was getting worse and they asked me to take full charge of her care. And I had no clue how to do this. I was 24 or something, 25 something. I had no idea. I never took care of anyone. I didn't have kids. I didn't take care of anyone. I was just, you know. So I was in awe and reverence a little too much of her. So I was, but I would get other people to come and massage her and clean her and do things because I was afraid I didn't know how to do these things. And but there were not many people around. When the festival was going on, many disciples, many devotees from Australia had come that year. And a lot of women had come. And they were so sweet and helpful. And I asked amongst them all, who is a nurse? Who has ever taken care? And there was a few. I said, okay, you're going to bathe her. You're going to dress her. Let's get her fresh clothes. Let's clean up her room. Who wants to clean? So I was an organizer, a facilitator to help her service. But when they all left, it was just me, her, and one Bengali, very sweet Bengali lady who helped me. And it was very difficult. And she was going downhill fast, health-wise. So anyway, long story short, I was with her for almost, it seemed like, I don't know about timing, but it seemed like about 2 months just alone with her in the room. And I didn't go to my other room. I put my deities to rest. I said, Lord, I have to take care of Pishima right now. So, just chill for a while. And I just stayed in her room and took care of her. I slept there and everything in the middle of the night, wake up and anyway, try to help her. And she wasn't getting better, of course. She was leaving us. At one point, I actually got a high fever and I couldn't stay in the room. So I asked the Bengali lady, please stay in the room one night. Just give me one night that I can get a full night's rest and, maybe I'll feel better. And so that next morning, Prabhupada had already left the planet 2 years before. And his samadhi had not been finished. It was just a brick structure in the middle of all this big dirt land that they had cleared out. And it was only dirt and brick and concrete structure. And so I went around his samadhi and I just prayed. I said, I don't care if I'm committing an offense, but Lord, Prabhupada, Krishna, she only wants to be with Prabhupada. She only wants to be with you. So please just take her because I can't help her anymore. I can't make her laugh anymore. I can't, comfort her. I don't know how to even physically keep her comfortable. So please just take her because there's nothing else that she's here for. And she just wants to be with you. So anyway, then I went to her room and she was sitting on the edge of the bed. A few Bengalis were in there and they were all crying and stuff. And she wasn't responding. That very morning, the day before, she was saying, Kala Kadashi, is tomorrow a Kadashi? And we were all going, yes, tomorrow's a Kadashi. And we were wondering, why is she so asking only this? And anyway, that morning, she was not responding. So closing down her senses. So when they all left the room, I was massaging her back with one hand, patting her back and chanting my japa with the other hand. I was thinking, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And as I was going, Hare Krishna, 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 she started moving her fingers like japa. And I thought, okay, she's hearing me. She can hear me. So I asked her, do you want water in Bengali, my broken Bengali, jal lagbe, doodh lagbe, milk? Do you want milk? Do you want water? Do you have to go to the bathroom? Can I help you? What can I give you? I asked a few things in Bengali, no answer. But then I'd say, then I put on a tape of Prabhupada. We used to joke with each other because, like I said, our language barrier was there. But I would come in the room and I'd go, Pishima, nitai pada kamala, just for fun. And she would go, Koti Chandra Shushitala. And I'd go, yay, chai, ya, ya. And she would go, Jagat Judaya. And we would pretend we're having a conversation over the prayer of Nityananda's prayer. And we would laugh. I tried to make her laugh a lot. And anyway, she loved Prabhupada and she was always, whatever we talked about, whatever, she was bringing it back to Prabhupada. So when I played this tape, Nitai Pada Kamala, Prabhupada singing, I had a little old tape recorder with the seat, the cassette tape thing. I played that. Then I went over to her and I'd say, Prabhupada Shuno, you hear Prabhupada? And she would go, huh. And that was the only thing she would respond to. Not for water, not for, nothing. But every time I said, I did it a few times to see if she wanted anything. Prabhupada Shuno, huh. So I realized, okay, she's closing off everything. She just wants to hear Prabhupada. So I kept that tape playing. I thought, this is all I can do. I tried to put her in the bed comfortably. I put the mosquito net around her with the incense so that the mosquitoes wouldn't come in. And I tried to make her as comfortable as possible with pillows behind her to support her so she could breathe and like this, but she wasn't responding. And I played that tape and I thought, that's all I can do all day. And every now and then I did go up to her to see, do I need to bring her to the bathroom? But there was nothing. And then I called a few other people and I said, please help me. I can't do this on my own. I don't know what to do. And so by that time, people came in the evening. Around the same time Prabhupada left. The Gurukula boys came in but they started this Roshas Kirtan and some of the Bengalis had informed her relatives in Calcutta. So they had come, I think 2 of her sons and a few of their wives and a few other people. And they were all Bengalis can get very emotional, so they were all very hysterical and go, oh, like this, you know, and crying. And the kirtan young boys were Hare Krishna, you know, like jumping up. And I came in the room. I mean, I was in and out, and I came in the room and saw this, and I thought, no, you know, it was like, I think peace is required here. So I went up to one big sannyasi who was known, an Indian sannyasi who was known to be very, very strong and controlling kind of guy. And I said, and I just said, no one ever talked to him like this. I don't think. He was kind of like a gangster type sannyasi. And I said, look, I said, the kirtan should go on, but please make it a little subdued and you know, everyone should sit and not be howling like this. And please keep the atmosphere more conducive for remembering, you know, Krishna consciousness, meditative. So he took it. He took it from me. I probably didn't even say, please. I was so excited. I said, look, you do this and make this like this, because I tend to do that. And he just did it. Everyone, Bashun, sit down and quiet. And then kirtan went on. And I was holding her hand. And I was thinking, I didn't know about Reiki in those days or anything like that, or energies like that, but I was praying, Prabhupada, Krishna, whatever youthful energy I have, whatever power I have, whatever spiritual piety I have, give it to her, because right now she needs this strength. And she already had it, but I mean, I was just praying, let me give her this, let me give her of myself, whatever I have now, to give her to go through this difficulty. And she was breathing hard. And at one point, she started flickering her eyelids and her mouth started moving. And I went close to see, oh, maybe she wants something. Maybe she just wants water and she's going to be all like, you know, you never know. I never was in this situation like this. And I thought maybe she's going to come out of it and be all right or whatever. I just thought, well, she needs something. Let me help her. So I went very close to her face and I heard her go, Hare, Hare, ha, ha. And that was it. She was trying to say the holy name and her last breath was, ha. And I was looking and I was waiting for the next breath, but there wasn't any. And I leaned back and I thought, she's gone. She's gone. And then I felt my hand and I realized, oh my God, she's gone. There was not just, you know, when you feel something, you recognize something by its absence rather than knowing that it was there before. But when I was giving her my love and energy, I realized that there was something coming back and that she was giving me so much. And there was this thing going on. But when it stopped, I realized that she had given me so much. And I just thought, oh my God, she gave me so much. And now she's gone. And I don't feel that energy is gone now. And then I again, okay, another hallucination from Ananga Manjari. I have to say, it was weird for me, but it was Krishna's gift, I think. I practically saw, like, you know, in the movies when the subtle body rises and the gross body is still lying, but the subtle body, I actually saw like the subtle Pishima rising and her hand went like this. And I had to move out of the way because I was in the middle of this, like she was going somewhere. And I actually had to lean way back. And she went up like this and she's looking in the corner of the room with her hand, the subtle body, this ethereal kind of body. And I saw Prabhupada come down with his hand from the corner of the room. Prabhupada come down with his hand, reached out to her. They held hands. And then they started just drifting off together into the corner of the room. And they both turned around inwardly. They both holding hands and they both turned around inwardly. And they went like this to everyone with their big eyebrows, like, come on, everyone, you're all coming, with the big smiles on their faces, both of them. They both looked like that. And they were both bright and effulgent and happy, which she hadn't been the moment before. She was, when I remembered it, it was like a shriveled prune just drying up. But they just went like, come on, everyone. And then they just kind of disappeared. And I went, oh, they left me here. They left me here. And that big sannyasi that was right behind me, his mouth dropped open. And I just said, she's gone, isn't she? Just to confirm, like, what's going on here? And he said, just like Prabhupada, just like Prabhupada. And I don't know what he saw or what he experienced, but he felt her devotion was just like Prabhupada. And then there was some ceremony. They had all the men leave the room and the woman that mainly her her relatives, women relatives, you know, they kind of did this ritual thing with giving her a new sari. And I was the one that put the tilak and the tulsi leaves and on her and like this, and we were chanting the whole time. And then everyone came in and offered flowers. And while she was lying there like that, I was seeing this bright light, like just shooting out from her. And then I went like this to myself. I went, oh, Ananga, now you're just hallucinating. This whole thing was just, this can't be. Now you're just seeing things. None of this was real. And I doubted my whole vision. But right at that moment, the pujari, one of the twins, Pankajjanari, and one of the other big, tall, Anakadumbi, they were pujaris at the time. They both walked in front of me to honor her. And I heard the Pankajjanari turn to the other one, goes, she's brilliant, she's shining, she's glowing. He said glowing. And that's the word I used in my head, because usually we say effulgent like this, but he said she's glowing, and he used these other words. And I thought, oh, if he sees it, then I did see it. And then it must be, all of it must be right. Thank you, Krishna. I just thought this is a confirmation that all of it was real, because he saw this glow and like that. So anyway, that was my experience, and it has given me so much. And I feel like later on, my life started changing. I became softer. My heart became softer in a good way to Krishna. And at first I was a little afraid of it. Anyway, by circumstances, I ended up getting married and having these 3 children, and I gave them everything I knew. And I made it fun for them, because I believe that if you keep your children happy when they're little, they'll keep you happy when they're big. Right, Rukmini? Gauravani, he loves you and he's so happy. And I was so happy to see Gauravani and Vish doing things together. When Vishy was only 12, Gauravani came to Mayapur and they did this big performance on stage there. They were so dynamic, their interactions. And Gauravani was this big, huge guy, and Vishy was only a 12-year-old little boy. He was still short and small, and and Gauravani lifted him on his shoulders, and they were doing kirtan. And then later on, to see them almost not the same size, but and it's just amazing, like, and how they grew, and they're still dynamic, a dynamic duo. And I'm so happy for that. So keep your children happy when they're little. They'll keep you happy when they're big. Be a soft-hearted Vaishnavi, and be proud of that, and not self-pride, but Krishna pride, that Prabhupada gave us so much, and we can do great things for him.
Thank you so much. There's so much gratitude being expressed here, and we all want you to come back and speak to us again. Just right now, I feel like I can hear from you forever, and don't want to let you go, but we're going to close out. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your association and everything that you've shared with us. And I do have one announcement, reminding everyone, next month our Urban Devi Sangha is our Urban Devi retreat that we would usually do in a beautiful place in nature, but circumstances require that we do this online. So we invite all of you to be with us. There's information on the Urban Devi page, on the WhatsApp group, and the Bhakti Center page. So we hope to see all of you there. We will have amazing speakers. We have Rukmini, we have Rajalila, Rambaru, and a bunch of other great things going on. So please come and be with us. And Ananga, Manjari, Prabhu, thank you so much for your presence today and for all these beautiful gems.
This Urban Devi is a great adventure that Prabhupada would be so happy with. It's just spreading so far and wide. Thank you, Rukmini. And you're so open for having all different angles of vision. And this is what's important and needed now, so much now. Thank you.
Thank you for your beautiful sharing, your beautiful heart, and your beautiful words. Thank you so much. Most beautiful and moving.
Thank you.
And Prabhupada,
You're my inspiration. You asked what's inspiration. You're my inspiration.
Prabhupada and Pishima are just calling you, come.
Oh, yeah, they're calling all of us.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, for your beautiful questions and your beautiful smiles. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your Sunday.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. It was
Hare
just
Krishna,
wonderful.
thank you.
Thank you, Ananga Mama. I miss you so much. I send you much love from Switzerland.
Oh,
What a delight. Hare Krishna. We need to hear you more and more and more. We need it.
thank you. Let's
Thank
connect.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rukmini, Prabhu.
Hare
You looked so happy. It was so fun watching you during the class. You were beaming.
She's the best. Ananga is the best.
I learned from the best.
We're all blessed by the best.
Yeah. Yes.